NIO will have their first quarter earnings on June 6th. This will be before the market opens here in the US. And what's funny is I had kind of predicted, I called June 5th out as the date that I thought they might announce and do earnings. So I was off by a day. But concept wise, I'm really glad this is a little bit after June 1st, which is when NIO could come in with a new monthly delivery record from May. And that will make things a little more interesting, I think, heading into this earnings. What about the earnings? And there are a couple things that I do think could surprise in a positive way. The first is the Forseven, the monies that NIO has received. Let's get into this. Now, I'll link all these tabs that I'm sharing in the description so you can check them out for yourselves. This is from page 150 of the most recent SEC annual filing done by NIO. And here's the part that I've highlighted, although there's a lot more interesting stuff going on. This is the piece that I'm kind of watching for. In February 2024, we entered into a technology license agreement with Forseven Limited, a subsidiary of CYVN Holdings, LLC. Pursuant to the agreement, we will grant a non-exclusive and non-transferable worldwide license to Forseven to use certain of our existing and future technical information, technical solutions, software, and intellectual property rights related to or subsisting in our smart electric vehicle platforms. We will receive technology license fees comprising a non-refundable fixed upfront license fee plus royalties determined based on the future sales of licensed products by Forseven. A couple things stand out to me. The first is this, actually, this verbiage and the way they put this: we will grant a non-exclusive and non-transferable worldwide license. This makes me wonder if NIO isn't thinking of doing this again or with other partners. And the way that NIO collaborates with so many different parties and has partners all over the globe, I'm not leaving this outside of the realm of possibility. NIO could make more money from working with other partners if this is the case. But here's the other piece. It says right here, we will receive technology license fees comprising a non-refundable fixed upfront license fee plus royalties. So it sounds to me like they have received monies and they will continue to receive monies in an ongoing basis into the future. So how much did they get? Well, I dug into the contract because there is some of the contract is actually shared, but there's also some confidentiality stuff. There's only one reference with an actual dollar amount, and I don't think it was what they actually received. So we don't know. But what I'm wondering is if this will be reflected and how it will be shown in the earnings. So for example, maybe we'll see this reflected in other revenue, or maybe they'll have it as its own item. I'm not sure. I'm very curious about it and the amount and what it will look like. And maybe we'll just see it as, an increase on the cash or the balance sheet, something like that. I'm not sure, but it's something I wanted to have some awareness of and share with others as well. This is the other piece. And this is related to JAAC, who, again, this was a partner with NIO. And basically what I've noticed from NIO is they typically seem to do these 3-year contracts and then they re-up based on whatever they want to do with the partners every 3 years. And so this was a positive when we saw one of the kind of shifts in NIO sort of buying out JAAC with some of the structure and the partnership that they had with their collaboration. So let's get into this a little bit. I think basically the bottom line, I think this could show us better margins from NIO. But here's kind of, let me get into the legalese and the way they've offered it here. In December 2023, pursuant to an asset transfer agreement with JAAC, the group agreed to purchase the transferred assets back at the consideration, and they have the amount there inclusive of tax, and the consideration was paid in full by end of December 2023. In December 2023, the group also agreed to purchase the production facilities in Factory 1 or F1 plant from JAAC at the consideration of, they've got the amount inclusive of tax. As of December 31st, 2023, both purchases of the transferred assets and Factory 1 plant have been consummated. So if this is the case, then end of year marked the sort of separation or restructuring. So what I'm looking for basically is, like I said, let's see what the margins look like if this doesn't have an impact, and maybe it's a considerable impact. I don't know. Maybe they need more deliveries first. It wasn't a great first quarter on the delivery side for NIO. It was actually the worst I think we'll see all year. But it gives a couple of things to kind of watch for. So here's another piece. This is not going to be reflected in the earnings, but there is a point that I wanted to make here. This is the fails to deliver, and this has shown a little bit of maybe a correlation between the NIO stock price and these fails to deliver over the course and the full history. This is not the full history. I'm just showing the recent history. This is the point that I want to make. This is an over 5 million. This is when shares couldn't be found or located. And this was reported on a single day, over 5 million of them. We haven't seen a number that big since back in 2020, before niostock made its big run. Now, shortly thereafter, we had a couple million on another day, but here's the piece that I'm kind of waiting and watching for. This was reported on April 1st. We don't yet have May 1st data, but we should have it before the earnings. So when I get it, I'm going to come back and do another video because I want to track this and see if we have a bigger uptick. It could be correlating with the stock price, and I want to have that awareness. We never get this data real time. That's an issue. But retroactively, at least we can kind of look back and maybe get a sense of some of the things going on, especially if shorts, for example, are treating niostock a bit like a meme stock. And that makes things even more interesting, especially if NIO as a company is a lot further along and closer to profitability than anyone is expecting, including shorts who might be sort of doing this gamesmanship and messing with stock price, trying to hold it down, keep it down. So I would like to hear from others on this, because a few of these things, and like the Forseven, shout out to Marty and Courtside Financial and Obi, I had seen this about the Forseven in the verbiage and kind of was waiting to bring it up. And then Marty talked about it. And, we still don't know what the monetary amount received from this Forseven deal is. And so, I'm very curious how it's even going to be reflected. I'm thinking and hoping we'll see it in this first quarter earnings. And so again, I'm not sure if we'll see it under other revenue. Typically, I think NIO just kind of shows two pieces of revenue. Other revenue is what they call one, and then from the vehicles. So the other is, of course, the vehicle margins. And, do those improve? Does everything look better because of the sort of, restructuring in the buyout of JAAC by NIO? That's certainly possible. And so how much would that change things? Great question. I don't know. There are also some different things happening that we don't have specifics on, like, as the power swap build out and some of the energy plays go on, and at some point NIO will become profitable, I believe, off of the power swap stations. The vehicle to grid stuff has been, they were testing it back in 2023, and now it's operational, and they're starting to expand that a little bit. And so, at what point do we see some of those other things reflected in the revenues, the other revenues? How about the smartphones? I don't have a high expectation that they'll get a ton of money off of those, but that is other revenue. How about NIO Life? There are so many other pieces and things that NIO is doing. It's a true holding company, I think, with all the different entities and partnerships and things that they have kind of their hands in. One of the things that I am the most bullish on with this company is Mr. EQ, William Lee, the way he's willing to work and collaborate and partner with other companies. And NIO has positioned itself so beautifully that competitors, if you will, actually can benefit from partnering with NIO. What an interesting dynamic. And I think this is a nod to the future of NIO being very, very bright. However, in the short term, a company that is this innovative, disruptive, and different is often not recognized or not accepted. And so that's why I think we do see historically, and even more recently, we see these IDE companies, which are innovative driven enterprises that have the potential for a very large global footprint. I think we see them heavily shorted. The short thesis remains in play, and the shorts can profit from all the folks who want to be traders, frankly, and they make that easy money off of those people for quite a while. Once the companies that do make it to profitability and show that they can, effectively crush the short thesis, then we see those, and in some cases they've been penny stocks that then trade at magnificent soaring values. And so this is the thing that I think it's really interesting with NIO. And frankly, I think we're going to see it. I don't know the time frame. That's the hardest thing. But for me, it actually is kind of broken down at the bottom of the screen. I've got it, the three major growth phases, and these are the initial major growth phases. The market awareness, the brand has to be known. I've actually got to come back. That just made me think of another topic that I saw. Hopefully I can do a separate video on that, because there is a piece, and NIO may take a much bigger piece of the market share in the premium segment on the BEV side of things in China than we are expecting. And it might happen faster now, but more on that again in a future video. Then profitability for the company, that again is critical, especially for crushing the short thesis. I think that's really important for a company like NIO. And then BaaS. And my thought with that is what does BaaS look like? Battery as a service. What are the power swap stations? What does the energy play all look like after we have 1 million NIO sales? And that's the premium brand. I was thinking premium brand here. So we're a little over 500,000. We've got some time, but that's kind of my time frame is, when we get to this point where NIO has 1 million cumulative sales, what does everything kind of look like at that point? And for me, if we haven't seen all-time highs by that point, I'll be disappointed, frankly. But that's just me. So drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Thanks if you stuck around to the end. I will see you all again very soon.